Hello, welcome to Meditation Nerd and all of the technical glitches we have here. All right, again, sorry if there's buffering. I'm getting green in a couple different places and getting a warning in others. So I'm, as normal, just gonna rock with it, just gonna roll with what we're doing. Okay, so today I want to share, and probably 2 days next week, I want to share something I've been sitting on for a while. This kind of came together as I was reading How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Risa or Ressa. I'm not quite sure how to say her last name. And so I started putting these together just kind of from what she was talking about. So, yes, we are going to be speaking about authoritarian tactics. Now, I want to clarify here that does not necessarily mean political. It can be an authoritarian type person in your immediate life, your immediate circle, your immediate community. Maybe it's someone at work that comes to mind when you hear authoritarian. It can also be a politician, it can be world leaders, etc. So, my point here is to make it broad enough so that you can step into the feelings where it relates to you so that you can build up your own sovereignty. That's the purpose of this series. Um, Now, that being said, there are going to be a couple of pieces that I'm asking you to step into some potentially charged stuff. So, as always, please listen to you above all. Okay. If your intuition at any point says, okay, we're good, that's all we needed, cool. You're welcome to sit and just listen to the rest of it. If your intuition says, nope, that's all we needed, feel free to head out. That's perfect as well. Always honor your boundaries. This is meant to be, as always, an educational, elevating experience, not a competition. This is not about pushing through stuff that your intuition or your authentic voice is saying not to, okay? So please always honor you above all. Okay. Now, for today's tactic, it is what is commonly referred to as the fire hose of falsehood. I have to choose my words carefully here so that I don't get either banned or shadow bound, etc. So if you hear me kind of stop and start, I'm checking my brain that that word is appropriately used, which I find frustrating. So just in case that happens, it's probably maybe not a technical glitch. It's me stopping to check that I'm using words that won't get this video shut down in any way. Okay. So with this tactic, the fire hose of falsehood, I feel like it's a little bit misleading because it implies that it's just about lies, it's just about conspiracy theories or contradictory messages. The basis of this tactic is to overwhelm the public with information, okay? Whether it's false, conspiracy, it's just a ton of information. The point here is to overwhelm with information, okay? So again, if you know someone in your life like this, if you have certain communities where you feel like this is a tendency, okay, that's what I'm talking about. So the goal of this tactic is not to convince you or me of a single truth. It's so that we'll give up on truth itself because we're so overwhelmed. Obviously, population that can't agree on reality, we can't possibly coherently come together to push back, right? Now, there is a real psychological impact here. Okay, so even if this is simply a personal level, okay, that is not to say only because that diminishes it in a way that I don't want to. Every single way that this tactic is used is severe, okay? This is going to cause cognitive overload or has the potential to. It's going to raise our anxiety levels, right? It's possibly going to throw us into the nihilism phase. I've been there a couple times myself. And we go ahead and just step into that whole passive cynicism, right? We just kind of go, all right, well, I mean, it's too much. I can't handle this. I'm just going to check out. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to scroll, right? Because that's easier. Or it's like, well, I don't know what the truth is. Skip it all, right? And then we just check out. So this is a meditative practice that's meant to help us engage with this without being burned out, burned out, burned out, burned out, or overwhelmed. I repeat burned out because that's how I feel right now currently. So I felt that that needed to be emphasized. Okay, so this little part, I am going to ask you to step into the storm of it. Okay, that means when you're scrolling and you see all of the flashing thumbnails, all these people have all the answers, right? It's this side did it, that side did it, this person's wrong, right? It's just all this chaos. There's all these loud flashing lights and bright fonts and loud colors. Maybe you're listening to something on the radio. There's this overwhelming deluge of just nonsense at this point, right? It's just all these different voices yelling at us with all of this different stuff, right? Whether it's right, wrong, indifferent, it's just to cause drama, it's cause hate, whatever, right? It's loud. It's flashing lights. I want you to pull up those moments. Now, again, I want to reiterate this because your safety is important, okay? The meditative practice here is not meant to add to that. Okay, we do need to connect to that so that we can see where it's showing up in our bodies. Now, I don't want you to get lost in the storm. We do need to have the storm present so that we can see where it's showing up in order to build resilience from there. Okay, so don't go too deep with this. Okay, don't visualize too deeply. And I say this as someone who will get lost in my visualizations. And it's not until I'm like super tense that I realize, oh, yeah, okay, that was way too far. So that's why I'm offering that reminder here. Okay. Maybe you had a recent experience with this where it was just an overwhelming amount of information. Maybe you were getting information from one person, then another person came to you with more information, right? Just allow those to slowly coalesce around you. The way that I feel this is it almost feels like it's just like this storm cloud of noise and sound and color that just kind of comes over me. And I want you to notice if anxiety arises. Like my anxiety comes from my intestines and just shoots straight up to my heart. Notice if there's confusion. My mind just blanks out. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't, critical thinking is gone. So notice if that happens to you. And I also want you to notice if frustration arises. Please don't bury that. Notice where it comes up. My frustration tends to like explode out of my chest, which adds to the acidic feelings that came from the anxiety coming up from my intestines, right? And then it just creates this little burning mass in my chest. So that's what I mean by sitting with it in your body. How is it showing up? Where is it showing up? Now, as long as this doesn't cross any boundary, please don't fight these sensations. Again, honoring your boundaries, honoring your intuition, honoring where you are. Don't fight them. Just frustrated with my own. And something to keep in mind that I've been noticing is like the overall body experience I have with cognitive overload is blah. Like I just feel really heavy. My body feels weighed down. I feel really hot and sweaty. And so I've started to think of that blah as the cognitive overload because my mind is blank. I I struggle to engage my neurons to start firing again so I can start asking questions and thinking outside of the feeling. So, just another point of reference, possibly for something that you can reference later, or maybe that resonates with you now. We're only going to spend a couple of moments here, but I do want to give everybody a chance to notice the onslaught and how it shows up within your body. One more inhale and exhale here. And then still keeping that, we are going to branch a little bit further. One other aspect of this I kind of wanted to call out is I've started to notice that when I'm scrolling and I see those really loud thumbnails where, this person has all the answers, that person's a demon, this person is wrong, it's blah, 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 right? My eyes start to hurt. It's like my eyes feel dry and heavy. So just these are just things that I've noticed to where my physical being is going, no, it's expressing how draining what I'm doing is. So just something else that maybe others can relate to. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna anchor into the senses. Okay, the one thing that is true. So from where you are right here, what's one thing that you know solidly? Well, I can tell you right now, my butt is firmly planted on my chair. My legs are in easy pose, and I didn't take the sweater off before starting, and now I feel really sweaty because pulling up those stories brings a lot of heat for me, right? It's part of the overwhelm for me. So, what's something that you can connect to right here from within this space that is undeniably true? Now, that could be your breath. It could be a sound outside. It could be maybe you have children running around. Maybe you have pets. You have other people that you live with, that type of thing. It can be sounds around you. It can be where you're sitting. It can be the very breath giving us life, right? I just wanted to offer a different option because I know I typically will say breath. So I wanted to switch it up. So we're just going to bring that solid focus to undeniably true facts right here. And then I want you to notice as you connect to these undeniable truths that you're in right here, right? Such as sitting on the chair. I want you to notice what happens somatically with the distance between anchoring to the undeniable truth and that story of overwhelm, right? I want you to notice, is there a little bit of breathing space? Does that maybe lighten your body a little bit? Does your posture shift? Does your breath deepen? So just something else to keep aware. Is there even a shift from the chaos of the story, the deluge of information, right? And you connecting to the very real fact of the sound of other people, the bird, your breath, the chair, your map, whatever it is, right? And as you're connecting to these undeniable facts, and if you connect to several, that's fine as long as they're keeping you here. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to just choose one. You can have several. That's more than fine. And you can also just have one. That's also perfect. I just don't want anyone to feel limited one way or the other. I want you to deepen your breath here. So each time you connect to one of those undeniable facts, deepen that big, beautiful inhale and lengthen that strong, incredible exhale. And then something I want to note here, you may notice that you're wandering back to the chaos in one form or another. Maybe it's the creator you like, it's the story you heard, For me, the way I do it is I try to settle back into the feeling of anxiety. I try to settle back into the feeling of heaviness and tension. So it's not the stories I'm going for, it's the sensations. So if you're doing that as well, just know that that is the same thing. Okay. We're just reaching for sensations versus a person or a story, but these are the same type of outreach that our mind is trying to return to the chaos, or it's trying to return to that downward pull of energy. Okay. Okay. Let me reframe that. If and when that happens, deepen your beautiful breath, acknowledge that it's happening, and come back to the undeniable facts. We're going to sit here with this for a few breaths, okay? So we can kind of get into a rhythm of, first of all, noticing that we're drifting because that's important. It's going to happen, and that's perfectly fine. This is a space where we get to connect to that and go, oh, okay, yep, I see how I just did that. And inhale nice and deep, exhale nice and fully. And I would like to point out that I inserted that right as I caught myself sinking down into the anxiety that's kind of swirling in the core of my body. So that's why I brought it up there. And again, reaching for those undeniable facts, or factoid if you're just doing one, that's perfectly fine. And I would like to point out that laughter is a very welcome sound in this space. If you bust out laughing during meditation, consider that a win. That is a very huge win in my humble estimation. So I just wanted to call that out in case anybody, for whatever reason, had the beautiful opportunity to bust out laughing. And extra points if you made yourself laugh at some of the absurdities that we can present ourselves. I catch myself doing that a lot lately. So do 3 more breaths here. Anchor to the undeniable fact, not a factoid outside of you, okay? Your immediate space. I keep anchoring to the chair I'm sitting in and how warm my feet feel. That's an undeniable fact. And I will not move them because they are keeping me grounded. So, last breath here, rather. Inhale nice and deep. Exhale. And then if you haven't already, please go ahead and close your eyes and just anchor to one specific thing here. The undeniable fact, preferably something that you feel elevated by. And it's within this place of elevation, this anchoring of undeniable facts, that I want to remind all of us that that this meditative space is not an escape. We are not love and lighting our way out of things. That is not to diminish love and light. They are wonderful, wonderful offerings, and they are very needed as well. And this is meant to be a calibration to the reality that we are finding ourselves in, and doing it with an empowering tool that has helped millions before us and hopefully millions after us, right? This is just a new way of approaching it. This is my way of not ignoring the storm and offering that to you. This is a way of remembering and reminding ourselves that we can actually feel ground beneath us from within the storm without diminishing either the ground or the storm. It's holding respect for both, because I think that's equally important, to have respect for both. And I also wanted this to be a space for our ability to reinforce our own capacity to perceive what is real, as that is slowly shifting and changing and does not feel aligned with the reality that my authentic self and my intuition is saying is reality. So now that's not necessarily part of it, just what I'm sharing from the place that I'm sharing from. So, with your beautiful eyes closed, still anchored to that undeniable fact, again, hopefully one that's elevating, I would like to bring my hands to heart center. Feel free to join me or keep them where they are. Inhale, exhale, and we'll say Satnam as a way to close the space for this meditation. And like I said, I'll have two more for this series next week. And then I have two that are connected, but not exactly part of this series. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found this elevating. I am so grateful that you joined me. Thank you for being in adapting meditation for the times that we're in. As well as experimenting with me to see where our meditative practice can go. I value that you engage in this with me. It's very meaningful. I hope you find it elevating, and see you next time.